ilang paalala para maging maayos ang session. So, everyone, keep your microphones muted habang nagsasalita ang ating speaker. And then kung may mga question kayo, pwede po niyong i-type ang inyong questions anytime sa chat box. Then the speaker, sasagutin niya po ito sa isang open forum section. So we hope na magstay kayo at the end of the session para po sa mga further announcement at doon po sa pag-distribute ng certificates. So be attentive at respectful para lahat po ay makikinabang. We encourage everyone to actively participate at make the most out of today's session. So ready na po ba tayong lahat? Miss Tina, please. Hello, Miss Tina. So, dito pa rin po tayo, may technical issue pa rin po si Miss Tina. So, now, it's our pleasure to introduce our distinguished speaker for today's webinar. So, Sir Arvin Barameda, a licensed custom broker and industry expert, Sir Arvin was officially registered and licensed as a customs broker on November 8, 2002, and is accredited by the Bureau of Customs in Manila. He currently serves as brokerage manager at Allfast Worldwide Logistics Corp. And brokerage supervisor, customs broker at Freight Management Worldwide Services Incorporated, while also being a part-time faculty member at Olivares College, Parañaque. Previously, he worked as a brokerage supervisor at 88 Sun Freight Express Corp. So 2019 to 2021, import assistant at Walliam Logistics Pills Incorporated, and in 2015, 2018, and customs representative at Transcontainer Philippines Incorporated and customs trade advocate in 2006-2015. Sir Arvin earned his master in customs administration from PMI College, Manila in 2015. And his BS in customs administration from Mariners Polytechnic Colleges Foundation in 2001. He is highly recognized for his expertise in tariff classification, duty, tax computation, E2M lodgement, and government agency clearances, with over 18 years of continuous excellence in customs brokerage and logistics management. Sir Arvin Barameda is highly recognized for his expertise in tariff classification, duty, tax computation. So, with such extensive experience, we are confident that today's sessions will be highly insightful and valuable for all of us. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming Sir Arvin B. Barameda. Let's give him a virtual round of applause in the chat. The floor is yours, sir.
All right, thank you very much for that napakagandang introduction. Thank you very much. And thank you for inviting me as a guest speaker on this webinar, the Pisca South CompEd's College chapter. Thank you very much. And to the participants here in our webinar and to the facilitator of this event. Thank you very much. We will now, moving forward, we will now start our discussion for the tariff classification and customs valuation are two of the most critical functions in customs administration. Errors in these areas often result in correct duty and tax assessment. These customs disputes and post-clearance audits penalties, surcharges, and shipment delays. Understanding common mistakes and learning preventive strategies is essential for customs brokers, importers, and students of customs law. Next, please. Now, what is tariff classification? Tariff classification is the process of determining the correct harmonized system code of imported or exported goods in accordance with harmonized system. So itong harmonized system primarily based on the World Customs Organization. Ito yung ginagamit natin na 6-digit code based on the WCO or World Customs Organization. It is internationally recognized in tariff classification. Number 2, sa regional variation, meron tayong ASEAN Harmonized Tariff Nomenclature. So ginagamit natin to sa ASEAN. ASEAN Harmonized Tariff Nomenclature. Meron tayong 8 digits, 8-digit codes yung ginagamit natin sa ASEAN Harmonized Tariff Nomenclature or AHTN. Now we have the Philippine Tariff Nomenclature. The general rules for the interpretation. So ano itong sinasabi natin na tariff nomenclature? It is a structured numerical coding system in classifying goods. Yun ang tariff nomenclature na tinatawag natin. Next please. Common errors in tariff classification. Misinterpretation of product description. Ano yung error dito? Relying only on commercial invoice description. Example, machine parts, plastic items. So these are general description. So one must not rely only on commercial invoice description. Why it happens? Lack of technical knowledge, vague or incomplete product details. So how can we avoid it? Request complete product specification. Ano yung nasa product specification? The function, the composition, manufacturing process, and end use. Doon po sa in other way, brochure yung hanapin natin. Sa brochure, nandun na yung product specification. So, yung function, composition, manufacturing process, and end use. Dapat itong specification na to nandun sa brochure so that we could be able to classify the goods correctly. Next, please. Number 2, common error. Choosing an HS code without applying GRI sequentially. So, ang paggamit natin ng GRI, it should be in sequential order. Why it happens? Memorization instead of analytical classification. So, it's not just a manner of memorization. You should be analytical in classification, tariff heading classification. Analytical. Pag na-memorize mo siya, tapos may analytical capability ka, that's better. So how to avoid? Apply GRI in order. GRI 1, heading and legal notes. GRI 2, incomplete or unfinished goods. GRI 3, composite and mixed goods. GRI 4 to 6, when others fail. So it should be in sequential order. Next, please. Number 3, classifying based on end use instead of essential character. So ano yung nagiging error natin dito? Classifying goods solely based on how they are used. Example, classifying a metal bracket as a furniture part when it is a general use article. So, hindi ibig sabihin na yung metal bracket is gagamitin mo sa furniture part, you will treat as a you will treat it as a furniture part instantly. No. Kasi yung metal bracket can be used interchangeably. So, we must be specific in classification. So, how to avoid? Determine the essential character. Kung ano yung pinagagamitan nito. And legal notes. Verify if the item is a part of a general article. Next, please. Number 4, failure to consider section and chapter notes. Ano yung kadalasang error na na-encounter natin? Ignoring exclusion notes that legally remove goods from a heading. How to avoid it? Always read section notes, chapter notes, subheading notes. Legal notes override heading descriptions. Now later on, we will have a example of this. Next, please. Number 5, using outdated HS codes. Ano yung kanilasang error na na-encounter natin dito? Using old versions. Example, Harmonized System 2012 edition instead of Harmonized System year 2022. How we can avoid it? Refer to the current PTN, AHTN. Monitor WCO and BOC updates. So, we must use the updated harmonized system code. Kasi yung mga ACES code ng 2012 version might not be, so hindi na siya nakalagay sa present harmonized system code edition of 2022. Next, please. Best practices in tariff classification. Maintain a product classification database. So, for example, meron tayong importer. May mga items tayong pinaparating with the previous shipment na may previous HS code na. Then, we must have a database for that para meron tayong reference and hindi tayo magka-error. Now, secure advance ruling from the Bureau of Customs. I think we will rephrase it, advance ruling from the Tariff Commission, because Tariff Commission has a mandate on tariff classification, has a mandate to issue a tariff advance ruling. While on the BOC side, advance ruling on valuation. That is the mandate of the BOC. So advance tariff ruling, ang may mandate si Tariff Commission. So pag may advance tariff ruling ka na, it cannot be questioned by the Bureau of Customs kasi si Tariff Commission ang may mandate. Another thing is use explanatory notes of the HS code. So ito yung explanatory notes, ito yung nagde-define on how will you able to classify the goods that being imported by your clients, so on and so forth. Ito yung ano, dito yung mga item, parang ini-explain niya dito kung saan ka magbe-base ng classification mo. And then, cross-check past importations and rulings. Dito sa ano, meron sa Tariff Commission, merong website ng ano, yung mga previous importations and previous tariff rulings. We can navigate that in the website of the Tariff Commission. Available na po siya sa website ng Tariff Commission. Okay, next please. Ito yung ano natin, Tariff and Customs Code of the Philippines, the ASEAN Harmonized Tariff Nomenclature. So, it should be, your reference should be year 2022. I think yung Tariff Commission, lumipat na sila ng ano ng office malapit sa West Avenue. Anyway, we will just find the address of the Tariff Commission, current office of the Tariff Commission. Okay, next please. Dito na tayo sa sa classification techniques. How to classify. Identification of the goods, get the full and accurate description. Yun nga, as previously said earlier, we must request from our client yung mga brochure so that we could be able to classify the items correctly. And as much as possible, we can avoid error in classification. So ito yung mga basic questions to ask in determining the identity of goods. What is it? What is the substance or material composition? What, especially for the chemicals, you will have to ask SDS, safety data sheet. Kasi yung ano, yung mga composition ng chemical nandoon po. Nandoon siya sa SDS or safety data sheet. What is its function or use? So napaka-importante nito. Anong function ng item yan? Anong use ng item na yan? Under what form is it imported? Is it the only possible classification? Yun ang mga basic questions in order for us to classify the goods. Next, please. Familiarization of the tariff nomenclature. Table of contents, titles of sections and chapters. Chapters are grouped under 21 sections. Yung section 1 is live animals. To section 21, works of art and antiques. Section notes, chapter notes, and subheading notes. Description of headings and subheadings and coding system utilized in AHTN. Next, please. Take note that chapters are generally arranged according to the degree of processing. Example, chapter 1 is live animals. From live animals, naging ano siya, raw hides and skins and leathers under chapter 41. And eventually, yung raw hides and skins and leather, naging footwear siya under chapter 64. So, merong degree of processing. Next, please. Example 2, chapter 6, live trees, naging wood and articles of wood under chapter 44, naging pulp of wood under chapter 47. So, yung ano, yung pulp of wood, ito yung mga small particles ng ng wood. Tapos ginawa siyang paper and paperboard under chapter 48. And eventually naging printed book siya, newspapers under chapter 49. Next please. Another example, pig iron under heading 72.01. Naging siya, billets under heading number 72.07. Naging wire rod siya under 72.13 and naging galvanized iron wire under heading 72.17. So there is a degree of processing. Next please. Another example, heading 52.01, cotton. And then, naging cotton yarn under heading 52.05. And eventually, naging woven fabric of cotton under heading 52.08. Okay po ba ang audio ko?
Yes, loud and clear.
Or baka natutulog na din kayo?
Hindi po.
Kindly raise your hands by showing emoji. Gusto ko gising tayo. Kasi parang to sleeping time eh. Very good. Gising pa pala. Okay, thank you. Thank you for listening and being awake. Next, please. Read the section notes, chapter notes, and subheading notes. The notes can be, example, Note 2 to Chapter 60, Knitted or Crochet Fabrics. This chapter also includes fabric made of metal thread and of a kind used in apparel as furnishing fabrics or for, next please. Note 1 to section 1, live animals, animal products, states that any reference in this section to a particular genus or species of an animal, except when the context otherwise requires, includes a reference to the young of that genus or species. Say, for example, may cattle. Ito yung plural form ng bovine livestock. Example, ang female cattle under the genus of Bovidae, female cattle, ang tawag doon is cow. Yung male cattle, ang tawag doon is bull. Yung baby bull, ang tawag doon is calf. While yung baby cow, ang tawag doon is heifer calf. So, yun ang explanation dito ng genus or species. Medyo may pagka-scientific yan. Natin, i-research na lang natin. May pagka-scientific yan. Anyway, just for an example of that. Yung cow and yung bull. Next, please. Ito naman yung mga exclusion, enumerates goods that are included. Example, chapter 64 covers footwear. However, note 1C to chapter 64 states that this chapter does not cover worn footwear of heading 63.09, worn clothing and other worn articles. So, kung may exclusion, kung may inclusion, merong exclusion. Ang exclusion dito sa chapter 64 is yung worn footwear or worn clothing. Ibig sabihin, used footwear, used clothing. Those are the exclusion to this chapter. Okay? Next, please. Number 3, definition provides a description for a particular good covered by the section, chapter, or subheading. Example, subsection Note 1 to Chapter 88, aircraft, spacecraft, and parts thereof. So, Chapter 88 is for aircraft, spacecraft, and parts thereof. For the purposes of subheadings 88.02, 8802.11 to 8802.40, the expression underladen weight means the weight of the machine in normal flying order, excluding the weight of the crew and of fuel and equipment other than permanently fitted items of equipment. So dito, dinefine niya yung unladen weight. Yung normal weight lang ng flying order, normal flying order without the weight of the crew, the equipment, and the fuel. So that is the meaning of unladen weight. Next, please. Roman numeral number 6, examine the headings and subheadings, including dashes. So identify, classify. Roman numeral number 7, go back to the identification if still in doubt. Roman numeral number 8, classifying according to the rules of classification, GRI. Next, please. Steps to follow in choosing the most appropriate tariff classification. Choose the section and chapter. So, basically, doon ka muna when classifying item, doon ka muna sa section and chapter. Number 2, compare all possible headings while reading pertinent legal notes. The section and chapter notes to determine the possible headings that can be considered. Number 3, use the GIR Rule 1 to 5 to determine the appropriate heading classification. Number 4, compare all the possible subheadings under the chosen heading by the dash level of subdivisions while reading pertinent legal notes, subheading notes. Next, please. Number 5, finally, use GIR Rule 6 to determine the applicable subheading classification. Next, please. So, the General Interpretative Rules, GIRs. So, there are 6 general rules. The first 5 rules relate to classification in the 4-digit headings. Rule 6 relates to the classification in the subheading level. The rules set out the principle for classification in the harmonized nomenclature. They are an integral part of the nomenclature, providing the application and interpretation. Next, please. The application of the GIRs 1 to 4 should always be in sequential order. Rule 1 is to be taken into consideration first. If classification is not covered by the provisions of Rule 1, then apply Rule 2 and so on. Goods must first be classified in the 4-digit harmonized heading, whose terms most specifically describe the goods unless otherwise required or directed by GRI. So, ang basis mo, yung 4-digit HSS heading muna in classification. Number 3, next please, sorry. Do not compare a heading description with a subheading description. So ang comparison dito is heading to heading and do not compare it with the subheading description. So, pag nagawa natin yon, maliligaw tayo. Maliligaw tayo sa classification and we will commit error. Remember that if we commit error in classification, under CAO 1-2020, meron po tayong fine, surcharges. Pag fine po is based on a currency, Philippine peso. For example, magka-error tayo sa port of destination, sa port of clearance. So that would be 5,000 pesos error fee. So that is fine. That is what we call fine. But surcharges is based on percentage. So mayroon tayong 10% below ng discrepancy ng misclassification, misdeclaration, undervaluation, walang walang surcharge. Only the additional duties and taxes. Pero pag 11% or to 29% of discrepancy of the duties and taxes, meron tayong 250% surcharge plus the assessed duties and taxes. So napakalaking penalty. We have 2%, 250% of the duties and taxes plus yung babayaran mo or binayaran mong duties and taxes. Yun ang penalty mo. And 30%, more than 30% discrepancy shall be subject to seizure. Merong prima facie evidence of fraud. So merong may probable cause na may fraud ang isang shipment pag more than 30% yung discrepancy based on the value of the goods. Okay, example, heading 85.09 for electric toothbrush. Electromechanical domestic appliances with self-contained electric motor. Subheading 9603.21 which provide toothbrush. Heading 96.03 provides for brooms, brushes. So what would be the HS code for this? Of course, 85.09. Electromechanical domestic appliances with self-contained electric motor. Kasi electric na yung yung toothbrush. So doon tayo sa heading 85.09. Next please. So ito yung rule 1, terms of the headings section, chapter notes. Rule 2A, incomplete or unfinished, unassembled or disassembled. Rule 2B, mixtures or combinations. Rule 3, 2 or more headings. Rule 3A, 2 or more headings. Rule 3B, essential character. Rule 3C, last in numerical order. Rule 4, most akin or most similar. Rule 5, Rule 5A, these are for special containers. Rule 5B, packing materials and containers. Rule 6, subheading rule. Okay, next please. Ito, Rule 1. Titles of sections, chapters, and subchapters are provided for ease of reference only. Classification shall be deemed according to the terms of the headings and any relative section. or chapter notes, provided such headings or notes do not otherwise require according to the following provisions, that is GIRs 2 to 6. So Rule 1, terms of the heading and any relative section or chapter notes. Example, live poultry. Doon siya sa heading 01.05. Makikita nyo yan sa sa AHTN or sa website ng AHTN, available po yan. Okay, next please. Rule 2, extend the scope of classification to include goods imported in accordance in a condition not specifically recognized in tariff nomenclature, incomplete, unfinished, unassembled, or disassembled goods. Reference to goods comprised of different materials or substances. Rule 2A, example, preform bottle, unfinished. So, ika-classify natin siya under heading 39.23, covers plastic bottles. Sa Rule 2A, example, next please. Sa Rule 3, for goods classifiable under 2 or more headings. Letter A, yung most specific description. Letter B, mixtures, composite goods, and goods put up in sets for retail sale shall be classified on the material or component that gives the essential character. Rule 3C, classified under the heading which occurs last in numerical order. Rule 3A, example, chair ladder, wooden ladder, heading 44.21, other articles of wood. Wooden chair, heading 94.01, for seats. Pero, halimbawa, ito yung given sa sa exam. Ito yung given. So, kung chair ladder sa, doon tayo sa sa wooden chair. Kung ang kung ladder siya, wooden ladder, doon tayo sa 44.21. Pag ito yung given sa exam. Pero in reality, in practice, yung wooden ladder, for me ilalagay ko sa 94.03, which is other wooden furniture. Doon ko ilalagay. Kasi si BOC, whichever is higher. So, yung wooden ladder, hindi mo naman makikita yan sa sa AHTN. So, ni-research ko yung yung wooden ladder. Sabi doon, considered siya as furniture. So, ilalagay ko siya sa 9403, which is other articles of wooden furniture. Nakuha nyo, class? Sige nga, raise your hands kung nakuha nyo. Nandiyan pa ba kayo, class? So, ibig sabihin, naiintindihan nyo. Kaya kayo nag-thumbs up. Thank you very much. Okay, next please. Rule 3A principles, relative specificity. A description by name is more specific than a description by class. A description that more clearly identifies a product is more specific than one which is less complete. Next, please. Rule 3B, essential character. An example is mixture of barley of heading 10.03 and oats 40% of heading 10.04. So, composite goods siya. So mixture siya. Saan natin ika-classify ito? Yung mixture of barley and oats. Doon tayo sa doon tayo i-classify natin ito sa barley under 10.03. Why? Because yung content niya, yung mixture niya is 60%, while yung oats is only 40%. So mas lamang yung barley. At the end of the day, i-classify natin siya as barley. Dito naman sa composite good, combined wristwatch of heading 91.02 and lighter of heading 96.13, both contained in the same housing. Combined wristwatch of heading 91.02 and lighter of heading 96.13. Saan natin i-classify siya? I-classify natin siya sa wristwatch under heading 91.02. Bakit? At the end of the day, ang pinaka-use niya, ang pinaka-essential character niya is wristwatch. Okay? Dito naman tayo sa set hairdressing kit consisting of an electric hair clipper of heading 85.10, a comb of heading 96.15, a pair of scissors of heading 82.13, and a brush of heading 96.03. So saan natin i-classify itong hairdressing kit? Of course, dito sa electric hair clipper of 85.10. Kasi yun ang pinaka-essential character niya. Yung comb, yung scissors, and yung brush is minor article na lang yun. So, pinaka may essential character sa hairdressing kit is electric hair clipper. Next, please. Now, what is the essential character of a product? The essential character of a product may, for example, be determined by the nature of the material or component, its bulk, its quality, its weight, its value. So kanina, sa previous example natin, yung barley has a mixture of 60% and yung oat is 40%. So mas matimbang yung 60% of barley. That is why we classified it, although they are mixed item, classify natin siya sa barley. Role of the constituent material in relation to the use of the goods. Other factors, the essential character is determined on a case-to-case basis. Next, please. Rule 4, most akin or most similar. Goods which cannot be classified in accordance with the above rules shall be classified under the heading appropriate to the goods to which they are most akin or similar. An example of this is exhaust air jack under heading 84.25. Next, please. Kinship may depend on such factors as description, character, purpose or intended use, designation, production process, nature of the goods. Next, please. Now, dito tayo sa, sa Rule 5. Rule 5A, the case or container presented normally with an article is classified under the heading where the article is classified. Letter B. Rule 5B, packing materials and packing containers entered with the goods are classified with the goods. If of a kind normally used for packing, but not when material or containers are clearly suitable for repetitive use. And later on, we will have an example of this. Next, please. Ito yung example ng Rule 5A. Violin with case under heading 92.02. Packing materials and packing containers entered with the goods therein shall be classified with the goods if they are of a kind normally used for packing such goods. So, yung case ng violin, tapos yung case niya, it should be fitted doon sa violin of a kind normally used. Pero kung yung violin nilagay mo sa sako, ay hindi na yon, hindi na normally used for such item. Hindi na siya it will be treated or it will be classified separately for sacks doon sa sako and then yung violin. Hindi na siya isang heading, dalawang heading na siya. Anyway, that is my irony. Irony lang yun. Next, please. Containers to be classified with the articles for which they are intended are especially shaped or fitted to contain a specific article or set of articles, suitable for long-term use, presented with articles for which they are intended, whether or not the articles are packed separately for convenience of transport, and of a kind normally sold with such articles. Next, please. Rule 5B, packing materials and packing containers entered with the goods. Example, men's shirts individually sealed in a poly bag, then packed in cardboard boxes. Entirety classified as shirts. So, no matter yung shirts nilagay sa poly bag and then packed in cardboard boxes, the entirety classified, ang classification nito, shirts pa rin. Men's shirts pa rin yung yung classification nito. Kahit meron siyang poly bag, kahit meron siyang cardboard boxes. So, isang access code lang sila. Next, please. Packing materials or containers designed for repetitive use. Ito, magandang magandang example to. Gumball dispensing machine, predominantly of zinc alloy, imported with gumballs. It is designed to accept a coin and release a candy. So, yung gumballs, under heading 17.04. Nasa nasa sugar and confectionery. Ito, yung gumballs, candy. Tapos, yung dispenser naman, made of zinc alloy naman siya, classifiable under heading 79.07. These packing materials or containers are to be classified separately with their content. So, kasi siya repetitive use siya Yung yung container niya, yung dispenser niya for repetitive use. So it is classifiable separately. Yung gumballs, ibang HS code. Yung dispenser, ibang HS code din. Classified individually or separately. Okay. Next, please. Rule 6, subheading rule. Classification of goods in the subheadings shall be determined according to the terms of those subheadings and any related subheadings. Next, please. Directs that classification below heading level be determined in accordance with the application of all interpretative rules in an identical manner to that used at heading level. Remember that only subheadings at the same level are comparable. So, dapat ang classification natin is same level. Palaging same level. That is comparable. Next, please. So, dito na tayo sa customs valuation. Sir, Sir Ma'am, pwede po ba tayo break tayo, mga 5 minutes
Yes, sir.
before we proceed to the another topic.
Yes, sir. Okay, everyone. So, pwede po tayo break po muna kung yung iba po kung gusto pong magpunta sa comfort rooms or anything na ano pong gusto nyong gawin for the 5 minutes break. So,
Okay,
we will...
5 minutes break.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, ma'am. All right, we're back. Sige nga, raise your hand kung nandiyan pa tayo, kung gising pa tayo. Sir Charlie, okay po ba yung audio ko?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear po.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, our next topic is customs valuation. Customs valuation. Customs valuation po. What is customs valuation? Customs valuation determines the customs value of goods for duty and tax purposes governed by WTO Customs Valuation Agreement, RA or Republic Act 10863, otherwise known as the Customs Modernization and Tariff Act, and the Transaction Value System. Next. Now, what are the common errors in customs valuation? Incorrect use of transaction value. Declaring invoice value even when conditions are present. Example of invalid transaction value. Buyer and seller are related and influence the price. Restrictions on sale. Undeclared assist. By the way, transaction value is the price actually paid or payable. So that would be the basis for applying the transaction value. So dito, invalid transaction value. There is a relationship between the buyer and the seller. The seller and the buyer are related. For example, yung seller is may sister company dito sa Philippines, which is the importer, that and influence the price. So, transaction value hindi na applicable. Doon na siya sa other method of valuation. How to avoid? Verify compliance with transaction value conditions. So, kailangan i-apply natin yung mga transaction value conditions. Disclose relationship and adjustments. However, kung hindi naman affected or na-influence yung price between the buyer and the seller, then transaction value is applicable. Pero, you will prove it to BOC. And the BOC will require you supporting documents for that purpose. Next, please. Number 2, failure to declare dutiable additions. Now, ito na yung Ito na yung mga dutiable additions sa transaction value. Not adding assists, royalties and license fees, packing costs, commissions. Ano itong assist? Si importer nag-provide ng molde doon sa seller para i-reprocess, further processing ng ng item. Siya nag-supply ng ng molde doon sa item niya. That is assist. Royalties and license fees. For example, nag-import ka ng t-shirt pero may logo ni Batman. Kailangan natin ng royalties and license fee. Kung sino man yung nag-create ng Batman na yan. Kailangan natin ng royalties and license fees and must be added to the transaction value. Packing cost. Nag-incur ka ng packing cost doon sa sa exporting country, kailangan nandun siya sa naka-declare siya as additional dutiable. Etong commission naman, kailangan added siya sa dutiable or dutiable charges. Take note, yung commission is selling commission dun sa exporting country, not buying commission, selling commission. It should be selling commission. Dutiable addition yan sa transaction value. How to avoid? Review contracts and payment arrangement. Apply valuation adjustments under CMTA Section 700 series. Ano itong contracts? Ito yung sales contract between the buyer and the seller and payment arrangement. For example, 60 days, 30 days from the invoice date, yung payment arrangement ng seller and buyer. Next, please. Number 3, incorrect freight and insurance declaration. Ano yung error natin? Declaring FOB instead of CIF. So, magkamali lang tayo sa Incoterms. Could be possible for a application of penalty, fine, or fine. Vice versa. So, dapat you should have to analyze the Incoterms based on the invoice. Sa CIF, kailangan naka-declare siya sa invoice yung cost, yung insurance, yung freight. Kailangan naka-declare siya para hindi na ma-question ni BOC. Provided you have the supporting documents for that insurance and for the freight that you will be declaring to customs. Kailangan supported yung mga documents mo. Or else, you will incur additional duties and taxes plus payment of surcharges. How to avoid? Understand Incoterms. Ensure freight and insurance are properly supported. Yun ang sinasabi kanina. A while ago, yung sinabi ko, kailangan may supporting documents ka. For the freight and insurance, you are declaring in the invoice. Pag CIF siya. Meron itong yung insurance sa freight, meron tong CMO 22-2007. CMO 22-2007. Wherein, pag general cargo, ang insurance mo is 2%. 2% of the FOB value. While pag dangerous cargo, high-risk shipment, pharmaceutical products, 4% yung insurance. 4% of the FOB value. Next, please. Number 4, improper use of alternative valuation methods. Anong error natin? Skipping valuation methods or applying them out of sequence. Ito yung correct sequence. Transaction value, identical goods, similar goods, deductive value, computed value, fallback method. So again, transaction value is the price actually paid or payable. Identical goods, they are like product with same supplier, with same supplier, with same producer. Similar goods, although not alike in all respect, but there is a similarity. deductive, pag sinabi natin deductive, yung price niya less the profit and general expenses. Pag computed naman, yung cost of production plus profit and general expenses. Tapos yung fallback method naman, pag yung method 1 to 5 fails, then you go back to preferably transaction value or identical goods or similar goods. So, yun ang the best na choice. Yung TB 1, 2, and 3. That is fallback method. Next, please. Best practices in customs valuation. Maintain complete import documentation. So, pag nagsasubmit ka ng customs declaration sa BOC, as much as possible, dapat complete yung documentation mo. Yung invoice, packing list, BL, proof of payment, sales contract, PO, proforma invoice, and kung regulated item siya, kailangan mag-secure ka ng permit from other government agency. For example, food products ka, kailangan mag-secure ka ng government permit from Food and Drug Administration. Now, kung telecom equipment yung yung importation mo, then you have to secure permit from the National Telecommunications Commission. Pag tobacco yung importation mo, you have to secure from the National Tobacco Administration. Pag appliances yung importation mo, you have to secure from the DTI, BPS, or Bureau of Philippine Standard. So, that is an example of government permits. Ensure alignment of invoice, contract, proof of payment. Okay, na-discuss ko kanina. Prepare for post-clearance audit. So, yung yung invoice, yung mga dineclare mo sa BOC na invoice, contract, sales contract, proof of payment, in case mayroong post-clearance audit, yun din ang i-present mo sa BOC. Dapat magkapareha sila or else there's something wrong. Magkakaroon ka ng problema sa BOC. Next, please. Now, common issues in both classification and valuation. Yung issue, yung impact. Ang issue natin is misdeclaration. The impact of this will be penalties and seizure. Lack of documentation, delays, and audits. So, impact niyan, delays, yung shipments, it will incur storage charges and demurrage charges from the part of shipping lines and storage charges sa arrastre operators, like for example, ATI, Asian Terminals Incorporated, or ICTSI, International Container Terminal Services Incorporated. Inconsistent declarations. So, ang impact nito is red flags in post-clearance audit. Siyempre, pag palagi kang pag kulang yung may problema sa invoice mo lagi, and then red flag ka na sa clearance audit. Subject to post-clearance audit yung mga succeeding shipments mo. Non-disclosure fraud. Of course, pag hindi mo dinisclose yung nire-require sa iyo ni BOC na mga documents, other supporting documents, then it is tantamount to fraud implications. Next, please. penalties and legal consequences under RA or Republic Act 10863, otherwise known as the Customs Modernization and Tariff Act. So ito na yung administrative fines, surcharges and interest, suspension or revocation of accreditation, and criminal liability for fraud. So ito, administrative fines, surcharges, ito yung under CAO 1-2020. Ito na yung mga fines, surcharges for clerical error of 5,000 pesos. Well, of course, iba na yung usapan dun sa sa misdeclaration, misclassification, undervaluation. Yung error na 5,000 pesos is just for only typo error, minor error lang yun. Yung halimbawa, nagkamali ka dun sa sabihin natin sa yung port of loading mo, doon ka nagkamali, minor lang yun. Pero pag nagkamali ka sa value, I guess, ibang usapan na yun. Suspension. So, pag nagkaroon ka ng seizure proceeding, pag napatunayan na na may may fraud, then you will be suspended. The importer will be suspended. Even broker shall be suspended. Suspension or revocation of accreditation. Criminal liability for fraud. Pag napatunayan ka na may fraudulent yung shipment mo, then it will be heard. Hindi lang sa Bureau of Customs, but magkakaroon ka ng Senate hearing. Like, ewan ko kung nakita nyo or have you heard about this, yung importation ng ng onions, I think, sa Port of Subic. Doon pumapasok yung Sabotage Act. Meron tayong batas niyan. Lalo na pag mga agricultural product. Sinasabotahin mo yung yung government natin. Siyempre, it will affect the local industry. Kaya that would result, that is tantamount for criminal liability. Next, please. Practical tips for avoidance. Conduct internal compliance review. So yung mga importer natin, yung client natin, they have to conduct internal compliance review. Yung mga previous importations nila, kailangan i-review nila kung may mga lacking documents, tapos yung mga value nila, i-check nila para pag nagkaroon sila ng upcoming shipments, smooth na yung process nila sa BOC. Then, our clients should train their staff on harmonized system and by valuation rules. So even in our brokerage company, we must have training. Even brokers, even customs brokers, meron CPD training para na-enhance or nagiging updated yung customs broker. Hindi ibig sabihin na graduate ka na, hindi ka na mag-aaral. Meron nga kasabihan, learning is a continuous process. Kahit bata, matanda, learning is a continuous process. And then coordinate with the suppliers for transparency. Dapat may coordination sa supplier and the importer. Especially sa invoicing, dapat kung may mga suggestions si broker sa importer with regards to invoicing, dapat mag-usap-usap para pagdating ng importation, wala nang problema. And then request for customs ruling when in doubt. So ito na customs ruling, ito yung mga CMO, mga customs memorandum order, customs administrative order na nire-release ni BOC. Minsan kasi may mga update sa mga previous CMO, CAO that has been released, may mga update siya. So we must be updated sa mga customs ruling. Next please. Q&A.
I think this is the presentation, Sir Arvin. So, Sir Arvin, thank you so much for the very informative and insightful lecture. I'm sure everyone learned a lot today, especially about tariff classification and valuation and how to avoid common errors. So before we start our open forum, I would like I would like to extend our sincere thanks to the professors and faculty members, nakita ko sila, of the Customs Administration Program at South Campeche College for joining us today. Nandiyan po sila. So your presence truly adds value to this webinar. So now we will move to our forum where participants may ask their questions. So let's start. Sa may mga gusto po, feel free to send in your questions now. Alam ko si Miss Tina may questions eh. Miss Tina? Hello, Miss Tina. Pwede mo sa akin i-chat, Miss Tina. So, everyone, so ito na po. Sa mga ibang participant po, baka may mga question po kayo. Feel free. So, wait lang po natin. Si Miss Tina, mahina po kasi ang net niya. So, so sir, ito po ang question ni Miss Tina. So, sabi niya, sa tariff classifications questions, to what extent can prior BOC rulings or advance rulings be relied upon in future transactions involving similar goods?
When it comes to tariff ruling, advanced tariff ruling, ang may mandate niyan is yung tariff commission. Ngayon, prior to importation, kailangan mag-secure ka na ng tariff ruling. Upon presentation of the invoice, packing list, or pro forma invoice. Now, yung tariff ruling na yon, pag dumating yung shipment mo, kailangan kung ano yung present mo na number of quantities, description, yung pa rin yun, hindi nadagdagan. Or else, baka hindi yan i-honor ni BOC.
Good. Pero meron po siyang another question, sir. Sir, sabi po ni Miss Tina, how can inconsistencies between customs valuation, and tax or VAT reporting create compliance exposure?
Yun nga kung ano yung kung ano yung declaration mo kung ano yung customs declaration mo based on the actual or final invoice and packing list based on the single administrative document, yun nga yung customs declaration, dapat yun ay reported sa BIR. From there, that would be the reference of BIR doon sa tax implication. Dapat consistent yung yung documentation.
Ayun. So I hope Ms. Tina heard the answer from Sir Arvin. So everyone, sa mga ibang participant po, kung baka may mga question po kayo, feel free, and ito na po yung opportunity nyo para maliwanagan po sa ibang mga everyone. So I hope wala. Sir, may tanong po si Miss Angelica Flores. Paano daw po gamitin ng FMN rate, NT at ST rate? Ang tanong po ni Ma'am Angelica Flores, paano daw gamitin ng FMN rate, NT at ST rate?
Pasuyo po kung ano yung NT, pasuyo po.
Miss Angelica, ano po ba yung specific dun po sa yung rate ng NT na sinasabi niyo po? Yun po, sabi niya is normal track at sensitive track po. Ang ibig sabihin niya po doon sa NT at ST.
Okay. Pag FMN rate, hindi siya qualified doon sa Certificate of Origin or Preferential Tariff Scheme.
Mm.
Yung normal track din yon. Pero yung sensitive track, yun po yung yung may quota, in quota, out quota na makikita nyo yan sa sa AHTN. Like importation ng coffee. May out quota, in quota siya. Pag nagka-secure ka ng ng permit sa sa government agency, ang pipiliin mo doon, you have to choose the in quota. Pero pag wala kang permit, out quota yung duties and rate of duty na i-adapt mo.
Yan po, I hope Miss Angelica is satisfied dun po sa sagot ni Sir Arvin. So everyone, baka may pahabol po tayong question. So, siguro wala na po. So, before we official end today's webinar, we would like to request all the participants to samahan niyo po kami once again. We sincerely thank our distinguished speaker, Sir Arvin B. Barameda, for sharing his expertise and invaluable insights with us today. Sir, your contribution has truly enriched the learning experience of all participants. So, we would also like to extend our heartfelt thanks to all our participants, including those from other schools and individual attendees. Your presence and active engagement made this webinar truly meaningful and productive. Special thank din po as well sa mga professor and faculty members na umattend sa webinar na to. So this concludes our webinar. We hope that the knowledge shared today will be applied in your studies and future work in customs administrations. Once again, sir, for our token of our appreciation for the valuable time and expertise shared today, we would like to present a certificate of recognition to our distinguished speaker, Sir Arvin Barameda. Sir, this certificate is given in recognition of his active participation and engagement in the webinar entitled Tariff Classification and Valuation, Common Errors and How to Avoid Them. Sir, it stands as a testament to Sir Arvin's invaluable contribution, expert insights, and dedication to sharing knowledge with the academic community. So before we officially end today's webinar, we would like to request all participants to complete the post-webinar evaluation. So you will see a QR code on your screen. So simply scan it using your mobile devices to access the evaluation form. Kita nyo din po sa chat yung link. So after completing the evaluation, kindly wait for your certificate or certificate of participation, which will be sent via email. So once again, this has been on behalf of the South Compedge College PSCAS SCC chapter. Thank you everyone for joining us. Stay safe and we look forward to welcoming you in our next webinar. Thank you, Sir Arvin Barameda.
Thank you very much po.
Sir, thank you po, Sir Arvin.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you po. And God bless po.
God bless.
After nyo po fill out po ng post-webinar evaluation, pwede na po kayo mag-leave. Thank you.
Congratulations!
Yes!